Alrighty, let's get started. Hi everyone, how's it going today? Good to see you. We are gonna
Hi,
start
everyone.
we're gonna start our live session today. We're talking about study habits, and what we'll be doing is giving you a chance to also get involved, share some answers, share some ideas, and we'll give you some feedback. And then also we will be sharing with you lots of information about the different resources and tools we have to help you as well. Also, you can post in the comments. So if you're watching on YouTube or in the Facebook group, you can just post in the comments as well. And we can obviously share those comments and share that feedback with you as well. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting. We're here for the next hour. So again, we'll give you lots of information and tips and advice as well. So shall we get into it, Claudia?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Yeah. And again, we'll be going through vocabulary. We'll be going through each part of the test, part one, two, three. So we'll give you lots of help and advice as well. All right, let's get started. Just before we do as well, you'll see the QR code on all of the slides. So if you want to scan that at any time, you'll be able to get involved as well and follow us and also get more materials and resources as well. So we can get started. Hello, Earl Grey. Welcome. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining us. Looking forward to having you in the live session today. Also, if you're watching the recording as well, welcome and good to have you here. We'll get started. All right. So we're talking about study habits and how we study. So we have some key vocabulary here. So let's go through it together, Claudia, and let me know what you think about some of these words and some of this vocabulary. Maybe we can use it in a few different sentences. So the first one we have here is A for effort. What does it mean to have an A for effort, Claudia?
So it's almost like you're unsuccessful at something, but it's like good try.
Yes, exactly.
It's a
Yeah,
nice way
yeah.
of saying good try.
You tried your best. So when it comes to math, I got an A for effort, but actually my grade wasn't that good. So I was never that good at maths. I'm going to say maths. Yeah. Anyway, so A for effort. Next one here, a bachelor's degree. What's a bachelor's degree? What does that mean exactly?
So it's the same as a college degree,
Hmm. In America,
right?
it would be college degree. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we say bachelor's, it's the undergraduate program that you do at university would be a bachelor's degree, I would say. Yeah,
Mhm.
bachelor's. And then we have a bookworm. What is a bookworm?
Someone who loves to read all the time.
Yes,
So this is
yes,
the kind of person who will read more than they watch. They prefer to read the book than watch the
right.
movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could say I'm a real bookworm. I really love reading books. When I study, I read a lot of books as well. I'm a bookworm in that sense. Distance learning. We hear this a lot, distance learning. What is distance learning exactly?
Yeah, so it's like this. It's studying online,
Yes,
basically, and it does involve a bit of self-study because if you're studying at a university or a college, you could say you're being spoon-fed. I don't know if you want to put that phrase in there, but distance learning requires that you take responsibility for your learning.
mhm. Right,
Um,
exactly.
yeah.
Yep, and also, it just means learning from far away, not in a traditional sense, a non-traditional way of learning. An eager beaver. What is an eager beaver? I love this expression. I came across this and I thought we need to use this. An eager beaver.
Yeah, someone who's really excited to participate in something,
Yes.
and to study and to work hard.
Yeah, they would be an eager beaver. They're very eager. They want to get involved in everything. Exactly. Yes, good. Face-to-face classes. So this is pretty self-explanatory, I think. It's the opposite of distance learning. So if we get questions in the IELTS test about how do you like to learn, what's your learning style, what are some ways you learn, you can talk about distance learning and face-to-face. That would be in person, another way to say that. Hit the books. So yeah, my IELTS test is coming up. I really need to hit the books. Claudia, what do we mean by hit the books?
You need to study really
Yeah,
hard.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Hit the books. I'm not punching them or kicking them. I'm just hitting the books. I'm just working hard, really hard studying. Master's degree. So this would be after the bachelor's degree. You would do a master's degree in terms of your study. So that's how we would work that. And a schoolboy error. Oh my, I've made quite a few schoolboy errors in my time. Do you need to is this just gender specific or could this apply to anyone?
Anyone. So it's a
Okay.
very basic, even foolish mistake.
Hmm. Yes, it is exactly. Yeah, like oh, such a schoolboy error. I can't believe I made that mistake. I can't believe I made that error. Yeah, exactly. And we have a teacher's pet. Who or what would be a teacher's pet?
So someone who, I guess, wants to impress his or her teacher. They always sit at the front of the class. They hand in homework and they even ask for homework. They're like,
Yes.
teacher, can I please have homework?
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, and teacher's pet. The teacher loves them. They love the teacher. They love learning a
Yeah.
lot. To learn something by heart. To learn something by heart means what?
Yeah, so we could also use the phrase parrot learning. I don't know if you use that in the UK, Daniel, but it just means to memorize information.
Yes, it does. Yeah, to learn something by heart. So to remember it, to memorize it. Yeah. And to pass with flying colors. I see this a lot in regards to IELTS. I want to pass my IELTS with flying colors. What do we mean by this?
Yeah, so that would be you passed something extremely successful with a
Mhm.
distinction, like an A plus
Yes.
plus.
Yes. I needed an 80. I got a 95. Wow. Flying colors. Amazingly well. Yes, exactly. All right. We got a comment here from, well, am I an eager beaver? Well, you could be considered an eager beaver. Yeah, like you're here and active and posting comments. So I would say yes, yes, you are an eager beaver. Yeah. All right. So this is all the key vocabulary we can use, and this is really going to help us when it comes to talking about study and study habits and education, which is a pretty common topic in the IELTS. So let's hear from you. We can also provide some model answers and some practice as well. So three questions here. How do you learn English? So this would be, what methods do you use? What ways do you learn? What is the best way to learn English? Is it in person? Is it face to face, etc.? So there could be different ways you could learn English. And then, do you prefer to study in the morning um, or in the evening, and why? This is also very, very important as well. So let's have a quick look at this, and let's just see if we can get some involvement here. So what I'm going to do is, if you would like to join us, you can join us. I will just post in the chat here, and you can join us, and you can get involved with the stream and get involved with the session and answer some of the questions. So the first question here, how do you learn English? Well, I'm not really learning English. I guess I am in some ways, but I would say the best way that I learn what I do in terms of teaching English would be to read and research and to try to get ideas from outside, to learn from others, be open to new ideas, be open to new ways of thinking. I think that's really important as well. And also as well, it's for me, I learn by doing. So I learn through, experiential learning, trying something out, seeing how it works, and then, learning from that. What about for you, Claudia? How do you improve your knowledge of English, and how do you improve your knowledge?
Yeah, so I always tell my students to immerse themselves in the language. In other words, surround yourself with the language. So if you're not able to move to an English speaking country, then surround yourself with the language. The more you're exposed to the language, the easier it will be to learn vocabulary in context, to pronounce things correctly, to understand different accents, and also to make English enjoyable. So it's not
Mhm.
just a chore. It mustn't feel like a chore.
That's a really good point. Yeah, we should do something because we enjoy it, because we are motivated to do it, because we feel like we get something out of it. Now, I guess when it comes to IELTS, kind of a lot of people have to do it even if they don't want to,
Yeah.
and they find that quite difficult. So it can be a little bit of a chore. So the next question is a little bit controversial, I would say. What is the best way to learn English? So what are the how? Again, this is a difficult question, and I know people will struggle with this. So what about, in your opinion, Claudia? What's the best way to learn English, in your opinion?
I think it's really dependent on you as a person.
Hmm.
So, again, finding a way that works for your personality. So, do you like grammar books? Is that how you want to learn, or do you want to learn in a more practical way? I think both are important, but both types both methods will speak to different kinds of learners. So understanding how you learn, how you process information will help you create these learning habits that ultimately keep you consistent, because that's the
Right.
goal. Because you're committing to a lifestyle. It's like gym. You don't want to do it for 3 months and then just fall off. So how can I stay consistent, basically?
Yeah, I would say be consistent, and keep measuring your success as well, because people give up, especially when they get to higher levels of English. They give up
Mm.
because they feel like, oh, I'm not making progress. Well, you are making progress. You just need to measure that progress and see the improvements that you've made. If that's working with a teacher, if that's measuring it in terms of your test results, that could be some other ways as well. So there's different ways to do it for sure. So definitely, I would agree with you there that it's that it's definitely a good way to learn. The last one, do you prefer to study in the morning or in the evening, and why? So again, this is dependent on the person. So the standard response I hear from students all the time, well, it depends, or it depends on the person. So yeah, it does depend on the person. Um, I would say in my case, I prefer to study in the evening, but I prefer to work in the morning. What about for you, Claudia?
Mhm. Yeah, I'm actually the same. I like to, no, no, I'm actually the opposite. If I need to memorize something, I need to study in the morning because I'm fresh.
Mhm.
But
Right.
if I'm working on something, I like doing that in the evening just
Yep.
because everything else is done and I'm more relaxed. So if I need to work on something creative, then I'm able to do that because I'm more relaxed. But absorbing information in the evening might not be a good idea for me.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It is hard to take on a lot of new information at the end of the day. But yeah, got a comment here from Liz. I always like to work and study at night. So both. Wow. Okay.
Liz is a
Yeah.
night owl.
A night owl, yes. I guess I'm not always an early bird, but it just depends on what I'm doing, I guess. Yeah. Earl, what about for you? How do you like to do it? So she said, immersing and reflecting are vital. Yeah, absolutely. And also, if you'd like to join, and if you'd like to talk with us and get some feedback and answer these questions, then feel free to join us as well. But yeah, immersion is very important, and reflecting, these are really important as well. Yeah, I agree. That's a good point. Immersion in English, this means being surrounded by the language and being surrounded by English all the time. The more you're surrounded by it, the easier it should be to learn. And reflecting is really important. Yeah. If I don't reflect on what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've learned, how am I going to improve? How am I going to get better? So that's a really good point as well, Earl. Thank you for joining, and thanks for sharing. And feel free to join. We'll put the link in the chat, and you can also share some of your ideas on this as well. So when it comes to part one, because these are part one style questions in the speaking test, in part one, it's about giving short, direct, clear answers. It's kind of like a warm up in part one. So generally, like in the sessions that we do with our students on the program, we try to teach them, keep it really simple at the beginning. Just 2 or 3 sentences is enough, and you can follow the PEE structure, which is in the course in the videos where we teach you how to give 2 or 3 simple, clear ideas on this. What are some other things, Claudia, when it comes to part one that we can support students with or we can share with them?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is answer the question directly. It's
Good
not like
point.
part two where you can create a backstory and you can sort of lead up to your answer. You want to get to your point really quickly. So,
Mhm.
yes or no, because, and then an example.
Yes.
20 to 25 seconds is okay. That's what you should
Yep.
aim for. You're not going to
Good
get
point.
it right every time, and don't be obsessed with that. But if you can train yourself by practicing um, with those timelines, then you'll be okay.
Yep, I like that. And one other thing is, in part one, the only thing the examiner can ask you is why not? Those are the 2 questions they can ask. Why not? And you might feel like, I already said that, I'm repeating myself, I've already told you. If that's the case, don't worry. You can paraphrase, you can put the information in different ways. You can definitely do that. And then also, as well, just remember with the why not? generally your second idea or your second sentence will be because, or you'll be saying why anyway. So give your first answer. So how do you learn English? I really love to learn English online. Examiner will say, why? Because, and then you already have that answer ready. So you just pause a little bit after you give the first response, and then you can go into the rest of your response for sure. Yeah. Okay. So that is part one. Again, feel free to share your ideas on this, share your answers on this, and if you'd like to join us again, the link is in the chat as well. Okay. Let's move on then to the next part because this is a bit more tricky. So we're going to go into part two, providing suggestions. And here's the question we want to focus on and talk about. What are some tools you can use to study and improve your English? So in the IELTS test in part two, you might have a question like name or talk about a tool or a method that you use to learn or to study. So it could be something similar. But again, this is a good way for us to share some ideas on how we study and what tools we use to study as well. So when it comes to improving English and studying English, Claudia, what are some tools we use to help us?
Yeah, so podcasts, YouTube videos, find topics that you enjoy, but at the same time, push yourself out of your comfort zone. So if you don't like watching news or reading anything about news, do it anyways because you'll be exposed to vocabulary that you won't be exposed to in a Netflix show, for example.
Yes,
So I
exactly.
would say, study what you like and make it enjoyable, but then push yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yes. Okay, perfect. We have a very special guest. Hello, Earl.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello.
You made it. Hi.
So nice to finally meet you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's the first time to say hello like this.
Yeah.
It's great to have you. This is good.
Yeah.
So I know you're an expert English learner. I know you spend a lot of time immersing yourself in the world of British English. Now, in terms of tools that you use, Earl, what are some tools that you use to study and improve your English?
Oh, tools. Not specific things, but I just use Instagram.
Instagram. It's great as a learning tool. It's social media, but we use it to learn as well, which is amazing. That's good.
Yeah, I just observe the vocabulary and expressions from my friends and teachers on Instagram. Yeah, I love that.
Perfect.
That's amazing.
I remember when I lived in Korea, I used to, and I actually did some episodes on EBS Radio, which is an English radio station and radio show. So did you ever listen to the radio or use any English podcasts to help you?
Oh yes, I love listening to podcasts actually. Yeah, right. Yeah,
Are there
it's
any
really
you can recommend?
my favorite is one of my favorites is Dan Sensei podcast. But yeah, maybe he can change the name of the podcast. So yeah, I'm not sure. And the British English podcast.
The British English podcast. Yes, I
Yeah,
know this one
so
as well.
British.
Wonderful. Those are good suggestions. Good suggestions. I like these suggestions. Wonderful. These are good. There's also there's one that I used to listen to for British English called The Archers, and it's actually like a soap opera, like a drama, but it's been running for 50 or 60 years, but it's only on the radio. Have you heard of this, Claudia?
No.
It's very, very old, but it's like a TV show on the radio from a very long time, and it's been running on the BBC for about 60 or 70 years, I believe. So very interesting. When it comes to IELTS, what are some tools that you've used to help you with IELTS?
Honestly, I've never studied IELTS.
That's okay.
And I've never taken any test
yet, but maybe in the future. So this is really this is actually a really good point. This is what me and Claudia always say. you can do really well in the IELTS by improving your general English. So if your general English is good and you get questions like this, you have the confidence and the knowledge and the vocabulary to be able to talk about these topics for sure.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
And just to go back to the previous question, Earl, we won't keep you too much longer. When it comes to study habits, what are your study habits for learning English? Do you have a routine or a way of learning, or do you just kind of do it in your free time?
If I say it's my routine, about my routine, I just enjoy the study itself. So throughout my day, English is my life.
Wow,
I can say it
that's
like
a great
that.
mindset.
Yeah, so I usually wake up reading something related to English on Instagram, usually, and throughout my day, I listen to podcasts. And always I write something, journaling or just writing a transcript for my reels,
Yes.
posting my post. So yeah, English is my life.
Wow. Real dedication and motivation there.
Yeah,
What you're doing, Earl, is actually really, when we think about the process of learning and we think about how people learn and study, what you're doing is you're reading, like you said, you're reading an article or some posts, then you're listening through the podcast, you're then making reels, speaking, reading, writing. You're using all of those skills and you're reflecting as well, which builds with the learning process. So the more you do something and you do it in all these different ways, that's how you build that knowledge and build that foundation for English, which is amazing. Did you want to add something, Claudia?
Yeah, I was going to say that I've enjoyed Earl's content on shadowing.
Yeah.
Shadow.
So what is shadowing? Could we share with the audience what shadowing is?
You want to explain?
Do you want me to explain it?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Shadowing is mimicking someone's words, someone's saying. How can I say it? Someone's speech. Like you can mimic someone, copy someone from movies, or like you guys from YouTubers, or everything.
Good idea.
Like podcast. Yeah.
We can listen to chunks and phrases and expressions and idioms, and we can try to mimic those. It's quite interesting because Liz knows this as well, and obviously sometimes I study and learn Korean, which is another language, and people say like, "Wow, your accent is very like authentic. Like sometimes it sounds like you're actually Korean. Why is that?" And I said, because when I first was learning, I would listen to what people say and I would imitate what they say. So it's really it can be a useful way, but people talk about accent. They want to sound native. They want to sound like British or American or whatever it is. And I would say always have your own identity. Don't try to be someone else or be like someone else. Be you. But if you want to take elements and inspiration, then that's great. That's what I would say.
Yes.
What do you think about this, Claudia?
Yeah, that's such an interesting point about accent, because I do think sometimes I feel sad when students come to me and they say, I want to remove my accent. I don't want my accent. And I'm like, but pronunciation and accents are different. And I think it's one thing if you want to focus on accent reduction, but to remove your accent, we all have accents. I have a different accent to Daniel and someone in America, and even native speakers sometimes struggle to understand one another in certain accents. So I just think maybe there's a lot of misconceptions and myths around accents.
And when it comes to the IELTS, let's say we're doing pod 2 and we're speaking for 2 minutes about a topic like this, if you have an accent, we're not listening, we're not checking, we're not grading you for your accent. We're checking for pronunciation. But like in your case, Earl, you use British pronunciation. It's clear. I can understand you. Everything makes sense. So it's not a problem at all. The only issue is if your accent affects the intelligibility. So, for example, Korean speakers, sometimes they might use Konglish or Korean English, where you might say something like, I really love to listen to podcasts, and that's fine, and I can hear that. But a Korean speaker with a very heavy accent might say, I like to listen to a podcast like this. So that affects the intelligibility, right? So yeah. So it's about thinking in English and speaking in English and using the correct pronunciation in English and actually sounding out the words, because a lot of students do this. They'll think about their first language and they'll just translate directly between them. So they lose accuracy, they lose their flow and the fluency, or they will just say the words in their first language. They'll again just Spanglish them or Congolish them or Chinglish them, whatever it is. Those aren't verbs, by the way, but just in terms of comparing. Claudia, have you experienced this too?
Yeah, so my mom's Greek and she speaks the language fluently, but I don't. And so anytime I'm around my Greek family and I don't speak Greek fluently, but there are some words, I can have like a really basic conversation. They say, your accent is so English. Please, you have Greek blood. Like my Greek aunts are like, please, what are you doing? You're butchering the language. So I totally understand. This whole thing about translating. You can't just translate it. You have to learn the intonation of the language, the rhythm. There's so much more than just grammar and vocabulary.
And we're missing, I think, the key word here, which is context. And like you said earlier, immersion, being in that environment, speaking and acting like you would in that actual environment. This is why on Instagram, some of the reels are really well done, because they put you in that situation, in the restaurant, in the bar, in the shopping mall, in the airport, and you can really immerse yourself, which is a really great way to learn as well. So immersion is good too. So yeah, this is great. Wow. Some really amazing points here. One piece of advice, Earl, that you would give to the students who say, I want to speak English well, I want to be fluent, I want to get a high score in the IELTS, what's the best advice you would give them?
Enjoy it. Yeah.
Enjoy the process.
And I find the way you can enjoy the most is my one of my best tips. One of my best tips.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. That's amazing. Thank you so much for being kind enough to come on and share your ideas. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Wow, that was amazing. It's so great to have everyone involved and working with us and speaking with us. So when it comes to tools, again, we can just summarize this. Definitely reading articles in English, highlighting keywords, checking vocabulary, checking the structure of how things are written. Finding information is really important because this is the reading test. When it comes to listening, again, listening for intonation, stress, repeated words is really useful as well to help you in study and improve. And of course, speaking, it's about immersion, it's about context, it's about having the correct way of pronouncing the words. And then writing, again, writing is a process, clear, simple, well organized. These are all the different ways that you can do this when it comes to part 2. Now, let's bring it back to IELTS for a moment, Claudia. When it comes to part 2 and the difficulties and struggles that students have, what are you finding are the main difficulties and how can we overcome them?
Yeah, so I have 2 things that I come across. One is not speaking enough and one is speaking too much.
Right.
So so you get 2 extremes basically. So if you speak too much, then you may not get to your point and your answer may not be concise, right? So that's a big problem, is just not being able to get to your point, not really answering the question in 2 minutes. Another thing is just not speaking enough. 1 minute is not enough, even though it says there 1 to 2 minutes. You're supposed to speak 1 to 2 minutes. 1 minute is not really enough to show off your grammar, your fluency. It's not enough for the examiner. You're not giving much to the examiner. So I think, yeah, just generating ideas is something that
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I can't think of
I'm
anything to say,
yeah.
Claudia. What do I do? I can't think of any ideas. What can I do?
Yeah. So you asking me, you can research ideas. Yeah, you can
Okay, you
research
could.
ideas. And that's, I think that's actually a big part of IELTS preparation is what is going on right now in society? What are some trending topics? What are people talking about? Because especially in part 3, you'll have to talk about social issues, and it might be quite difficult if you don't know what's happening. If they ask you a question about the environment and you don't really know the conversations that are taking place right now regarding the environment, then it might be a little bit tricky to come up with an answer. So
Right.
research those ideas.
Yes, that's a really good point. Have a couple of things to say. You don't need any more than 2 or 3 ideas because it's 2
Yeah.
minutes. And also, you'll get the question. With the question, you'll get the prompts. So how, why, when, what, who. So use those W questions as hooks, as ways to structure your answer. So let's say the question is, what are some tools you can use to study and improve your English? So the bullet points might be, what tool is it? When do you use it? How do you use it? Why is it a good tool? Something like that. So you could give your answer and you could say, okay, I'm going to talk about some tools I can I can use to study and improve my English. First, let me tell you what the tool is. So the tool is Instagram. I really like this tool because it makes learning English fun, engaging, and interesting, and it helps me with my motivation. Next, let me tell you when I use it. So I usually use Instagram all day, every day. I'm addicted to it. I live on my phone, so I'm always using Instagram to learn English and learn vocabulary and ways to improve my English. Let me tell you how I use it. Well, when I look at a video or a reel, I take some notes, I check the vocabulary, I check the keywords, and then I review them. And then actually later on, I'll write them down in a short reflection or a short piece of writing, um, things like that. So that could be a way you could structure your answer. Any other tips for how to structure part 2 answers, Claudia?
Yeah, I would say try to stay away from listing too many answers. Make sure you develop your answer. So if you have to give a suggestion, then don't give 10 suggestions without developing. Explain why you advise this or why you would do this. Because when you list things, again, you're not really showing off much when you do that.
Yes, exactly. Great ideas. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Elsa. Thank you for having me. You're welcome. It's great to get
Thanks
you
for
involved.
being
And if anyone else would like to get involved, just follow the link that we posted in the chat, and we can invite you in, and you can get involved and share your ideas and your answers and your tips, because it's really good to learn from each other. We can give you a lot of advice and information, but it's always really good to learn from each other as well. So let's move on to part 3. These are the discussion questions. So in part 3, you'll have to have more of a discussion, 5 to 6 minutes, where we go back and forth. So part 1, short, simple, 2 to 3 sentences. Part 2, that's you speaking for 2 minutes on a topic, as we discussed. And then part 3, this is where it gets a bit more tricky. You have to talk a lot and give a lot of different ideas about questions. You might get easier questions, some that are easy and difficult, or very difficult questions. Now, this is not a reflection of your performance in the test. This is just how it's selected before the test. So the examiner would already have selected it randomly. So it's not anything you've done. It's just the luck of the draw in some ways. But it doesn't matter how easy or difficult the questions are. It's how you structure and respond to them. So, question for you: which is better, face-to-face learning or online learning? So I'm curious to know your thoughts. Feel free to post in the chat or to invite yourself to come and join us. We can talk about this question. And then Which is more effective, group classes or one-to-one classes? Why? Controversial questions here, Claudia. So with this first question, which is better, face-to-face learning or online learning? What if I have opinions on both sides? What would I do there?
So you would discuss both sides, and that's actually a good strategy because it gives you more to say. So you could say there are pros and cons to both, and then you start discussing the pro and the con. And I just think that's actually a really good strategy.
And you have more to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's important to develop answers and you have more to say. So in this case, which is better, face-to-face learning or online learning, I might say, well, again, very cliche. Well, it depends on the student and the type of learning that's taking place. So when it comes to face-to-face learning, these are the advantages or these are the disadvantages. However, when it comes to online learning, it might be better in this way. So maybe we think about young children. They might prefer learning online because they can use technology, they can play games, they can interact more with the teacher, with the lesson. But when it comes to older students, maybe university students, face-to-face learning might be more useful as well. But there's pros and cons to both sides. So you can definitely develop both sides in your answers, in your responses. So if I asked you about this, Claudia, on a personal level, what would you say is the better one?
Yeah, so I would say I do have an opinion on which one is better. For me, personally, I enjoy online learning just because of its convenience. The fact that I don't have to get in the car and drive somewhere saves me time. And also the flexibility of online learning. The fact that I could be doing something else whilst listening to a lecture or class. The fact that I can pause, come back. I mean, it just gives me so much flexibility compared to sitting in a lesson.
Yes.
I do understand why people like face-to-face classes, just because maybe there is more accountability. It's almost like you're forced to learn. But if you're a disciplined person, then online learning shouldn't be a problem.
Exactly. That's a really good point. Yes, it depends on your learning style. So we're going back to what we said in part 1 and part 2. It depends on how you like to learn and how you prefer to learn. Yeah. They got a comment here in the chat. Liz said, I prefer online learning to Claudia. I really enjoy the social interaction, the social aspect of being in a classroom and being around other students. Even when I'm teaching, I like to be around other students. Online is good, but I think it depends again what you're learning and how you're learning it. Again, we might be biased here because we teach our classes online, but I feel like in the online environment we have good materials, we make it engaging, we try to support learners. So I guess it depends on the student and also depends on what you're learning, I would say, depending on that. So which is more effective, group classes or one-to-one classes, and why? So what would you say about this one, Claudia? What's your opinion on this one?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question because you could argue both points really well. I do think that group classes are effective because of the social element. So not only are you not isolated like you are if you're studying alone, but you're accountable to a community. You have encouragement within that community as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. So this is quite a controversial topic, and I know some students, prefer to just do one-on-one, but some students prefer the group setting. So there's advantages and disadvantages to both sides. I would say for IELTS specifically, listening is a very difficult skill, and we need to be exposed to different kinds of accents, different kinds of English, different ways that people speak. So a very small focused group could be a very, very important way to do it. With one-to-one, you're only hearing one voice, the teacher's voice. And that might not be the most exciting, that might not be the most engaging, you might not get the most out of it. But if there's 3 of you in a class or 4 of you in a class, then that could be a much more fun, enjoyable and dynamic kind of classroom environment. So I would say, again, depends on what you're doing, but in our experience, very small groups work well. They're more effective for IELTS, but for other things, they might not be, for sure. So in part 3, what are some tips or strategies we can share, Claudia, to help our students to be more successful with part 3? Because again, I can't talk for a long time. I don't know what to say. I can't find ideas. How could we navigate this part?
Well, again, practice your timing. So I would say 30 to 40 seconds per question, because if part 3 is only 5 minutes, the entire part is only 5 minutes, and you should be getting 4 to 6 questions. So, keep your answer 30 to 35, maybe 40 seconds. If you can train yourself to do that, that's amazing. And then develop every answer. So if you are sharing your opinion, just make sure you do develop it and keep it abstract. So now in our examples, we did make it personal, but it's like you can keep it abstract and then add a personal example, as long as you're not making everything about you. Like, I take online classes every day and this is my routine. I think it's important to connect it back to society and maybe what's happening right now. For example, why are people taking online classes nowadays? Well, maybe we could, credit COVID for that. We were in lockdown for such a long time, and that just kind of opened us up to online learning and even just working from home. So yeah, that's how you can connect that answer to society, and you can make it a little bit more general.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a great response. Yeah, and I would also say with part 3 as well, if the question is really difficult or you don't really fully understand it, you can simplify it and bring it down, or you can choose one aspect of the question. So for example, in this question, which is better, face-to-face learning or online learning? So maybe you're not too comfortable talking about face-to-face, and you'll say, well, I can talk about online learning. So I can give, and if you give just ideas about online learning, that's fine. If you can, as long as you can say, I think online learning is better. And if you just talk about that, that's okay. With the second part, which is more effective, maybe you don't know what effective means, or maybe you're not familiar. Effective, but maybe you're thinking again, which is better, which is more, usually it's going to be positive, negative, or which one is more preferable. So you could think about that as well when you're answering. But again, it just takes practice and guidance and feedback to improve your skills. Some comments here from Earl. She said, in my opinion, we don't necessarily take face-to-face classes. Like Claudia said, everyone learns differently. Yeah, depends where you grew up. I guess for our era, like I went to school every day in the classroom for 18 years. And yeah, did I love it? No. Sometimes I liked it. But once online became an option, it became a novelty. But now I think it's too extreme, where it's only online, all online, always online. So I think we have to have a little bit of a balance if possible. Just depends on that. And Earl, again, in a group class, we can learn how to interact in a conversation, and listening skills can be improved a lot because everyone has a different accent. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Because actually this happened in one of the IELTS classes I was teaching yesterday, one of our private sessions, where the student said, oh, I don't know what that is. Could you explain that? And we learned new learning opportunity. And the other student said, oh, I can use this now for my answer. This is great, because we taught each other and we helped each other. And again, sharing is learning and sharing ideas and things. So yeah, everyone has a different accent. Exactly, Earl. It's very, very easy to just listen to American English or British English. But if you're studying for IELTS, or even if you're just traveling or studying, you're going to hear lots of different accents. People always say to me, Daniel, where are you from? And I say, what do you mean? They say, well, you have an accent. And then I say, what do you mean? So it's hard to guess, but they can understand me. Even if they don't know exactly my accent, they can still understand me, which is the most important thing. In a private class, we might progress way faster with personalized lessons. Yes, exactly. You have a very small focused class, 2 or 3 students in a group, all with the same goal, all with the same targets. You can learn a lot and you can improve really, really quickly. So I think that's a great point as well. Yes, variety is good. Okay, perfect. So we've talked a little bit about part 1, we've talked a little bit about part 2, and we've talked a little bit about part 3. If you have any questions or anything else, any other comments, feed them into the chat and we can talk about them, we can discuss them. There are a few things we'd like to share with you, just to help you connect with us, because we really enjoy working with you. In our WhatsApp group now we have over 100 active members posting and sharing ideas and giving feedback, which is amazing. We've started these live sessions so that you can get more out of what we offer and help you as well. So if you haven't yet, step 1, follow us on YouTube for more videos and content. So again, with YouTube, it's really nice because we have lots of videos, reels, all those kinds of things, totally for free, where you can improve not just IELTS, but also general English as well. So if you're not following us on YouTube or subscribing, please do. We do post a lot of things, and also like these videos that we're doing as well, you'll find some of the clips and some of those on YouTube as well. So that'll be the first step, which we would advise you do to get more out of this. Secondly, Instagram. So as Earl said earlier, she uses Instagram to learn. So definitely you can connect on Instagram. We're at Expert IELTS Success. And again, we post, mostly Claudia posts amazing reels and amazing tips and videos. And we try to help you as well improve your English and improve your IELTS as well on that. Step 3, we'll have a look at this in a moment. We are now running our Elite IELTS program. So this is where you can meet with me and Claudia. You have 6 to 7 personalized lessons, private lessons with us, where you work on IELTS speaking, IELTS writing, reading and listening. And we work with you to help you hit your target and hit your score. And then also, we have our 3-day IELTS challenge in our Facebook group that's starting on Monday. I'm just going to change there we go. We can see it much better now. So join the 3-day IELTS challenge in our Facebook group that starts on Monday. So if you're not in the group, join the group, please. And you can start a free challenge so that you can improve your skills, get more confident, and start improving your English as well. So I'll show you some of those things as well. Let's have a look at the links. I'll put some of the links in. I think Liz is going to post some of the links in for YouTube and Instagram, and then also for our IELTS programs as well. I'm really enjoying teaching those. How are you finding the programs that we're teaching so far? What's your experience been like so far, Claudia?
Yeah, it's just been amazing connecting with the students, and every student has something different to bring, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I've really enjoyed having students from different countries, and they learn about each other, and they really really motivate each other and push each other, which is really, really nice as well. So I think that's really really positive, and we love to work with different students and help them improve and help them reach their goals as well. So I'll just very quickly just show you a couple of things that are going to help you with your study. So I'm just going to move off of here, and I'm just going to share a couple of different things with us here. So if you're not subscribed already, we'd really love it if you would be able to take a look at the YouTube here, because as you can see, we're growing pretty quickly. We have up over 1,000 subscribers now, and we have some great videos, to help you get ready for your IELTS preparation and improving English as well. So we have lots of things: reading, looking at myths, how to improve general English, focusing on writing, commonly asked questions, frequently asked questions, your mindset, test results, all these different things. We've got lots and lots of videos to help you in here. So do take a look and do subscribe if you're not already subscribed. This is a really useful tool for you. And then one more thing we want to share with you as well. If you're interested, we would love to work with you and help you improve your IELTS skills and improve your IELTS performance, which is our amazing program. So let me share that with you, and we'll talk a little bit about this, Claudia. So again, we've spent a lot of time building this program because we know it's really hard to get good information, to get the right information, and to get the help that you need. So again, we're here to help you. You can access a free training video right here about 20 minutes where we go through how to get a Band 7, how to achieve your goals. It's about a 20-minute video, so it's there for you for free to help you improve your skills and improve your knowledge. And then again, we have our amazing program, IELTS Speaking Success. And we have different levels. We have Essentials, Advanced, and Elite. And again, you know, a lot of really happy students who've really improved and really got a lot out of the program. And we have the different options here, so you can sign up for these. The links are in the chat, and we'd love to have you on our programs. We do start and open up new sessions every week, and again, you have all the frequently asked questions here, and you can find out more about me and Claudia, and also connect with us. So hopefully you're ready, and we'll see you in the live classes. Now, before we finish, before we wrap up, if you have any questions, specific questions about IELTS, or specific questions about learning English, please let us know, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. Again, you can just post in the chat, in the comments, and we'll answer any of those questions for you. So yeah, do feel free to share your comments, and we'll do our best to answer them. I'm just going to share my screen again. There we go. All right, lots of juggling back and forth. Technology is great. There we go. Fantastic. So yeah, the information is here. So thank you, Liz. So yeah, you can check out the YouTube channel here. So the link is there in the chat. So you can just click that and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you. And then also the IELTS Speaking Success Program. Yes, we're really enjoying the program. We're working with lots of students and impacting them and helping them improve their IELTS skills. We'd love to work with you as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to share them in the comments, and we'll answer them for you. Here's a couple of our IELTS classes that we've taught in the past. Here's our focus small groups, and then our bigger group classes as well. And again, just scan the QR code here for anything that you need. You can find all the information. And if you are watching the replay as well, thank you for watching the replay. Again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all. And we hope to see you in our challenge on Monday in our Facebook group. So yes, but feel free to ask any more questions. We'll be here for the next couple of minutes. Wow, we talked a lot today about study habits. It was a really interesting and exciting session. And thank you if you joined us and got involved with the comments and joined us to speak. That's great. We'll try to run some more of these in the future to get you involved as well. Wow, amazing.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was a lot of fun. The time flies. Yeah, I'm looking at the time. I'm like, wow, it really flew by. Okay, perfect. All right, so we'll wrap up there. And again, if you have any questions, reach out to us in the WhatsApp group or on Facebook, or again, you can get in touch with us and again through YouTube as well. So yeah, that was a really great session. Claudia, anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, well, just thanks everyone for being here. And if you are in our Facebook group, thank you so much for helping the other students as well and for participating. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, the WhatsApp group's going really well. If you do want help and feedback, you want to improve your answers, me and Claudia will try to help you. I know Claudia works really hard to listen to all the responses and give feedback and try to help everyone. So yeah, please feel free to join us there. I should actually grab the link of that group as well. So if you're watching the recording or you're going back through the comments, maybe you're wondering like, well, how do I join your WhatsApp group? So let me get the link for you and I'll drop that in before we finish as well, which is good. It's really rainy here today. I'm really sad. The weather is not good for the weekend. How's the weather where you are, Claudia?
It's cold but sunny.
Cold but sunny. That's nice. Okay, cold but sunny.
But it's not Canada cold, so.
Not Canada cold, no. Well, actually, like we mentioned, there were a lot of fires in Canada, so the air was really polluted and very very difficult to go outside. But luckily, it's getting better now, and I think the rain actually helped. So yeah, I think that's actually a good thing in that sense. Alrighty, here is our WhatsApp link as well. So I'll just quickly grab this. And then I'll put that in the chat as well. So hopefully we can see you guys on WhatsApp as well. It's going through Facebook, but the link does work. So don't worry, you can join us here as well by going through the link. Although you have to maybe copy and paste it. It's all kind of gobbled. But anyway, if you scan the QR code, you can get to the WhatsApp group there as well. Guys, I can see everyone's joining now, but we're at the end of the session. We will send out the recording a little bit later, so you will have the recording a little bit later. That'll come out to you in a few hours, so you can watch everything, review everything, and let us know if you have any questions. All right, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for a wonderful session. We had a great time, and we'll see you soon for another live session. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.